Chapter 21 Chapter 145 Mentally 3. JJ's POV. And quote, the wound is only superficial. It doesn't need stitches, but I made sure it's properly closed so it won't bleed anymore, unquote. The maid explained to me. Sorry, Yuri, he didn't call Kiefer, but he did call the maids to help me. I feel so guilty. What a bad trip, unquote. Thank you, unquote. I said, forcing a smile. They smiled back, unquote. Young master, please wait here, unquote, they said before leaving. I was left alone in their mini clinic, feeling stupid and weak. I glanced down at my apron, stained with blood. Not again. I don't understand why this only happens when I see fresh blood. What is really wrong with me? A soft knock on the door pulled me from my thoughts. I looked up to see Yuri, his eyes filled with sadness. I felt ashamed. I shouldn't have told him to call Kiefer. And quote, is your wound okay? And quote, he asked, stepping closer. I gave him a small nod, lowering my head in embarrassment. And quote, sorry, I shouldn't have said that earlier. And quote, I mumbled. He pulled up a chair and sat in front of me, gently taking both of my hands in his. And quote, it's okay, but I hope you'll explain what happened earlier. I feel like I don't really know you, and quote, he said softly. I bit my lower lip. This was my fault. I should have told him sooner. What if we were already married and he still didn't know? And quote, you do know something about me, just not everything. And quote, I admitted. And quote, I was afraid to tell you, because even I don't understand what's happening to me. And quote, it's not a bad thing to open up. And quote, he reassured me. And quote, who knows? Maybe I can help you figure it out. And quote, he's right. I've been questioning myself for so long, but I've never found an answer. Maybe he can help. And quote, Yuri, it's because, and quote, I hesitated, taking a deep breath. And quote, there's something wrong with me. And quote, I looked into his eyes, watching as he patiently waited for me to continue. And quote, when I see blood, something unusual happens to me. At first, I assumed it was just a simple phobia, but over time, it turned into something more. And quote, I took a deep breath before continuing. And quote, as I grew older, I began losing consciousness during these episodes. But according to others, during those moments, I behave differently. I talk, move, and sometimes even hurt people. And quote, Yuri's gaze didn't waver, his interest clear as he listened intently. I never wanted to talk about this, but I knew I had to. And quote, no matter how hard I try, I can't remember anything from those moments. It's like a blank space. And quote, I whispered, tears falling before I even realized it. And quote, I don't know where it started. It just began happening after Aries' dad kidnapped us, then when Cyrus and I fought, and the last time with Ram. And quote, but Kiefer said you already helped Ram. And quote, Yuri pointed out. I shook my head. And quote, that's what we agreed to tell you. But Brother Angelo and Aries know the truth. They said they had a feeling something was off, but they don't really understand either. And quote, Kiefer knows. Is that why you wanted me to call him? And quote, I nodded. Yuri glanced at my injured hand and fell silent, as if deep in thought. And quote, if you don't want to be with me anymore because of this. And quote, no. No, don't say that, and quat, he interrupted, his voice firm. And quat, I love you, Jay. No matter what happens or what you do, I will always love you, and quat. And quat. But what if, and quat, and quat. Don't think like that. Don't overthink. Please, and quat, he pleaded. I forced a nod, but honestly, my mind was racing with a million thoughts. What if it happens again and I hurt him? What will I do then? Yuri stood up and stepped closer, gently tilting my chin so I would look at him. And quat, we'll figure this out together. You trust me, don't you, and quat, he asked. I nodded. Once more. He smiled. And quat. Now. Can I kiss you, and quat? Wait, what? I didn't have time to respond. As if he already knew my answer, his lips were just inches from mine. And honestly, it was fine. I had no reason to refuse. I simply closed my eyes and waited for his lips to meet mine. Neither of us moved. We barely even breathed. Time felt like it had stopped. I have to admit, I didn't want this moment to end. I didn't know why, but all I knew was that I felt safe next to Yuri. His lips touched mine for a few seconds before he slowly started moving them. Red heart. Okay, wow, wait. I tried to pull away, but he immediately cupped the back of my neck, keeping me close. My hands instinctively pressed against his chest, but even that didn't stop him. Red heart. Damn it. I had no choice but to give in and return his kiss. For reasons I couldn't explain. I didn't push him away. He wasn't rough. His kisses were soft, sweet, and full of emotion. It was something I never felt with Kiefer. But if that's the case, why is it Kiefer's kiss that still lingers in my mind? I bravely pulled away from his lips, gasping for air as I bowed my head. And quat? Why, and quat? Yuri asked, his voice filled with concern. And quat? Sorry, and quat? And quat? Are you uncomfortable? Did I shock you? Do you not like this, and quat? He fired one question after another. I quickly shook my head. I didn't want him to think that. It's not that I didn't want to. And quat? It's nothing. I just remembered something. And quat? I replied. Without thinking, I wrapped my arms around him. And quat? Maybe my timing was wrong. Sorry. And quat? Before I could say anything else, I suddenly froze. My gaze shifted toward the door, where a girl with straight-cut bangs and a white plug hoodie stood. Wait. What? And quat? Why are you eating Yuri-san's face? And quat? The girl asked. Yuri immediately pulled away, looking at the girl in shock. And quat? Yoichi, and quat? Yuri exclaimed. The girl, Yoichi, immediately bolted out of the mini clinic. Wait a minute. Yoichi? Yuri's sister? And quat? That was embarrassing. And quat? Yuri muttered before turning to me. And quat? I'll go after Yoichi. You can find your way to my room alone, right? And quat? And quat? Oh, okay. And quat? I stammered. Yuri flashed me a small smile before rushing out after Yoichi, leaving me standing there, dumbfounded. This is right, I reminded myself. It should be Yuri because I agreed to marry him. But deep inside, a part of me was still screaming that this was wrong. When I'm with Kiefer, my mind fights back, yelling that it's a mistake. But my body doesn't seem to agree. What am I doing? What should I do? I was so confused. I took a deep breath and made my way to Yuri's room, though I wasn't entirely sure of the way. I remembered some parts of the route but not everything. As long as I find the stairs. With that in mind, I climbed every staircase I saw, hoping to get to the right place. After about 4 staircases, I finally spotted the familiar hallway leading to Yuri's room. Success. Nothing had changed in his room. The only difference was that the curtains, which were usually closed, were now open, revealing the large balcony. This was my chance to look around. I never did before, because I used to hate him. I approached his study table and examined the picture frames. Most of them contained photos of him and his family. There was also a class picture of Section E. Must be from last year. My gaze shifted to his bookshelf, immediately drawn to the neatly arranged books. Studying must be tough. There's the internet. Yet this nerd still prefers books. Just then, someone entered the room. I turned, expecting to see Yuri, but it was just the maids. They carried the food Yuri and I had cooked, along with a pitcher of juice and utensils. Can I even eat after everything? They carefully placed everything on the coffee table, near the balcony's glass doors. Once they were done, they turned to me, bowed slightly, and then left without a word. Why do I feel like Yuri's maids don't like me? And quat. Hey, and quat. Yuri's voice called from the doorway. I turned to face him. And quat. Are you bored? And quat. And quat. Not really. Did you find Yoichi? And quat. And quat. Yeah, she's in her room now. And quat. Yuri replied. I simply nodded, and an awkward silence followed. We both avoided each other's eyes. Piffed. And quat. Do you want something to eat? And quat, he asked, pointing at their food. And quat. Sure. And quat. He immediately walked over to the coffee table and began serving the food. Meanwhile, I returned to his study table, my attention drifting back to his bookshelf. One book stood out, a photo album. The old book's worn-out cover caught my interest. And quat. Can I look at this? And quat. I asked. And quat. Go ahead, and quat. I took the book and flipped it open. Just as I suspected, it was a collection of photographs. It really is a photo album. I sat beside Yuri and opened it in front of him. My eyes instantly landed on a picture of a crying child. And quat. Ha 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 ha. Is this you? And quat. I teased, pointing at the image. And quat. Don't look at that. Skip it. And quat, he ordered. I laughed even harder at his expression. He looked utterly embarrassed. Before I could enjoy it too much, he quickly turned the pages, skipping to the middle of the album. And quat. Apple. I'm looking at it. And quat. And quat. You're just looking at my embarrassing moments. And quat, he grumbled. I had no choice but to examine the part he flipped to. It was an elementary school picture. As I continued flipping through, I came across a picture of Kiefer, Percy, and Aries. They all looked happy, except for Kiefer, who, as expected, had a serious expression. Aries was smiling while Percy had an arm wrapped around him. I skimmed through more photos, one of Yuri and Aries riding bikes, Kiefer and Percy trailing behind them. There were even pictures of them in their school uniforms. Most of the photos captured the 4 of them smiling, looking genuinely happy. Then, I spotted something unexpected. Wait, are they wearing altar server robes? And quat. Did you serve at church? And quat. I asked, surprised. And quat. Yes, Angelo. Let us join the altar servers. Maybe we looked responsible. And quat. he explained while eating. And quote, what happened? And quote, we got kicked out almost immediately. Kiefer punched the head altar server, and quote, puffed, ha 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 ha. And quote, that's insane, and quote. I looked at another picture and saw Aries wearing a basketball uniform. I knew he used to play, but he stopped for reasons unknown. There was also a picture of Percy and Kiefer wearing baseball uniforms. Wait. I suddenly remembered Kiefer throwing a ball at me in the gym. The way he threw it, just like when he threw stones. I turned the page. There was only one picture. Alone and unique. Percy was holding the camera or phone. They were inside a car, and it looked like whoever took the photo was lying near the steering wheel. Aries was driving. Kiefer was asleep, and only Yuri and Percy were looking at the camera. But they weren't smiling. This picture felt heavy. And quote, that was our last picture together, and quote, Yuri said quietly.